This is the Cubs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs POSTCAST here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Joe George here with you on all social media platforms at Joe George Radio. Much better for the Cubs today. They get the 6-1 victory over the Tigers and move to 40-24 on the season. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And we will kick off today's show with our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
There's two good choices for this one today for the Locked On Player of the Game. And so we'll give out two of them for this one. We'll start with Jameson Taillon. Jameson Taillon on the day. 7 innings pitched, only 1 earned run allowed, only 3 hits allowed, and 5 strikeouts on the day. He was fantastic in this game. The changeup was working really well for him. Pretty much had control from start to finish in this one. So Taillon was very good. And let's think back just a little bit here, okay? He gives up, 7 home runs and 8 innings pitched in 2 starts. What has Jameson Taillon done since that? 26.2 innings pitched. So 26 and 2/3, 14 hits, 5 earned runs, 5 walks, and 15 strikeouts. That's a 1.69 ERA since those 2 starts where he gave up a lot of home runs. He has really... I was a little concerned seeing those numbers. I think we all were seeing all those home runs in 2 games. But what he's done since, he's been incredible. I mean, the strikeout numbers are not high, but he's just attacking very well, getting guys out. He knows it doesn't matter who he's facing. Yes, there's been some easier competition, but the Detroit Tigers are right now, by record, the best team in the American League. They have the second best odds on FanDuel to get to the World Series right now coming out of the American League. And Jameson came out there and was absolutely fantastic in this game. The other locked-on player of the game, pretty simple as well. Seiya Suzuki in this one. 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. He gets the home run in the first inning that makes it 1-0, and then gets the other one there in the top of the 8th that made it 6-1. So Suzuki, Taillon, great days for both of those guys. And I know we all hate losing. You lose the first game. You have some opportunities. You have a kind of a questionable decision that happens at third base and sending or not sending PCA. So to rebound this way is fantastic. And then we'll see what happens in game 3. Want to win this series very badly for me. This game, like yesterday, kind of has that playoff feel. Not as much without Skubal on the mound for the Tigers, but they go out there and look, all they did in this game was smash. This is a big ballpark. And the Cubs only had, what did the Cubs end up with in this game? The Cubs ended up with 7 hits in this game, and 5 of them were home runs. They just kept going up there and smashing it. This was not the small ball, style that we've seen the Cubs do very often today, but instead we're seeing them smash home runs left and right in this game. So again, it starts with Seiya Suzuki there in the top of the first. Dansby Swanson, kind of quick note on him in this game. This is kind of where it felt like for me early on the Cubs were going to be able to get to the Tigers. After Suzuki hits the home run, Dansby Swanson hits a rocket to the warning track himself. And that there kind of felt like, okay, the Cubs are going to be able to get to this guy in this game. And, of course, they absolutely did. Nico Horner gets the infield single there in the top of the 5th. Michael Busch, he crushed that ball. 2-run home run to make it 3-0 for the Cubs in the top of the 5th. And then you go all the way to the 7th. Crow-Armstrong, he hits a home run. It's 4-1 Cubs. And then Matt Shaw hits his 2nd home run of the season to make it 5-1 before Seiya hit his in the next inning that made it 6-1. This blew my mind. We know it's been bad at third base. Matt Shaw's home run this year, his first one was as a pinch hitter. That was the first home run of the year from a Cubs third baseman, from the starting third baseman on the Cubs roster, the first of the entire season. Matt Shaw continues to just go out there and be very good. He's hitting .258 on the season right now. He's just going out there and pretty much doing everything you could ask for and more from a guy that you sent down to the minors to make some adjustments and to come back up. We saw the pop today, finally. We've been waiting for it. And again, the first home run by the starting third baseman in any game this entire season. That's tough. That's tough, but nice to see Matt Shaw. Chad here says Matt Shaw will never play AAA ball again. Yes, he will never play in AAA again. He will be the Cubs third baseman for the foreseeable future. Not a star yet, but he is on a good path to be the everyday third baseman for the foreseeable future for the Cubs. He's just kind of come up and done a great job against his team. And this game is exactly why I am such a proponent of what the Cubs can do this season. Is we've seen them be very successful with the small ball, but this is, I think it's the third or fourth game this year which they've hit 5 home runs in a game. That ties their season high. So whether they're doing the small ball stuff or they're hitting it deep all the time, they're constantly going out there, and they're just, not every game, obviously, but they're finding ways to get guys home, and they're able to do it in such different ways. If the wind's blowing in at Wrigley, if it's blowing out somewhere else, they're definitely a better offensive team on the road, it feels like. But if you find a way to win, that's all that matters. And that's what the Cubs continue to do. So however they get their runs, they go out there and do it. Mark says here in the chat, 0 home runs from second base. Who cares if they I'm guessing how they score. I think that's fair. But what's great about the Cubs, again, is that they can do it every single way. And that's what they need. Like a great baseball team is not reliant on a home run. The great baseball teams are not reliant on small ball. Great baseball teams are built to do everything. So that way, when you're facing a guy like Skubal, they had their opportunities in game 1 of the series. You're facing an elite pitcher in the playoffs. If they're not going to give up home runs, if the wind's blowing 25 miles an hour from left field towards the home plate at Wrigley Field, you can find a way to score. Not everyone's going to be able to do that, and the Cubs continue to show that they have a very versatile offense this season. This was a very good win for the Cubs. Before we get to break and talk about some of the frustrations that we saw early in this game, I just want to kind of get some thoughts on the umpire, who is trash as trash can be in this one. We'll take your questions and comments as well live here in the chat. We're on social media at Joe George Radio. You can tweet me after or whatever, DM me anything, and ask me questions on Instagram after the show ends as well. But first, Reese McGuire. Let's talk about him here just for a second. The bunt, love it. If the third baseman, this is not the first time we've seen Reese McGuire attempt this either. He knows that if the third baseman is going to essentially be playing shortstop, because they know he's all straight pull hitter, he bunts that thing down to the third baseline. But it's a terrible bunt, to be honest. But he ends up being safe, so that worked out great for him. But the play at the end of the game, glad they challenged it, needed to. Fantastic play. I mean, to see the runner that far off the bag, they're being overly aggressive in the situation the Tigers are. That was a great throw by Reese McGuire. And we see on the replay more in detail, the runner's trying to get back to first base kind of from behind the bag. But Michael Busch, the way he's playing, the guy never touches, the runner never touches first base basically until he's well out. I mean, honestly, it was a terrible call it might have been one of the worst calls from an umpire we saw all day, and they were terrible throughout the entire game behind the plate. But that was a fantastic throw from Reese McGuire, way too aggressive for the Tigers right there, and good tag as well from Michael Busch. So credit to them, definitely deserved it in this one. So we'll take your questions and comments here when we get back from break, and we'll talk about what we saw early on in this game, because it was not pretty from the umpires. I'm just curious people's thoughts about, as they're watching the Cubs game play out today, what they thought about what was happening behind the plate. We'll get to that next year on the Locked On Cubs postcast on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. I told you during yesterday's show, it's a little bit different now with the NBA Finals being a little more spread out, but can't believe what Tyrese Halliburton has been doing this year. I'll be rolling with the Indiana Pacers in Game 2 of this series, plus 10.5. They just seem to find a way to at least keep it close in every single game, if not get the W. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's talk about what happened early in this game, and then we'll get to your questions and comments that you guys got in the chat as well. Some stuff we got offline that we'll talk about here on the show as well. The umpire was terrible. I'm not a big check the umpire scorecard, like the social media account that has it, but it was very bad. I'm shocked we did not see someone get thrown out of the game today because there was bad calls happening all over the place, whether it was against Tucker, PCA. I mean, it was absolutely atrocious behind the plate. So I have a couple observations from this. First thing, let's talk about the Cubs specific side of this. And we also, honestly, it was bad for the Tigers, too. Like, Taillon was getting stuff that was clearly not a strike. That guy was awful behind the plate. Let's talk about the Cubs side of this first. This is important to me because I want to see a player in a team not honestly have a meltdown. Like, we've seen Major League Baseball teams. We see it all the time. When the calls are not getting their way, you see guys overreact. They get frustrated. They start pressing. And the Cubs didn't do that today. Yes, there were bad calls coming left and right, but they stayed in their zone, and that's how we saw all these home runs happening. They got their pitches when they needed to, and they're hitting them out of the park. Yeah, really no hits today outside of the home run ball, but for the most part, it was that. I mean, that's all you needed when you're hitting 5 home runs in a game. So they don't freak out. That's important to me. The other one, just watching the game today, I'm curious what people are thinking as they're watching it. I'm very anti the idea of robot umpires. Typically, games like this today make me for it. I really want to see the challenge system come into play. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to see what it's like in the minors. I've gone to a couple AAA games with the challenge system where they tap their head. It takes less than 5 seconds to get the call correct on the field. I love it. I think it's something that I'm looking forward to seeing Major League Baseball adapt at the big league level at some point. But today was just one of those days where I'm just, as a baseball fan, this is not even if the Cubs would have lost this game, I'm not going to come up here and do a show and blame umpires for a loss. I don't believe in that. They can be bad, but they're not the only reason why you win and lose games. But I did find myself watching it feels like the first half of this game before the Cubs started to pour it on. Like, I want a robot back there. I want someone back there that is not, a human that is this bad at their job, or at least give the players a chance to make the challenge and to get things right, like Craig Counsell is able to do there in the 9th inning. So typically, I don't want to see those things. I don't want to see a robot umpire. I'm all for the challenge from the players at the plate, but not wanting to see a robot umpire. So they were terrible today. Couple other things from this game, real quick here on what we saw from the back end of the bullpen today. Couple important things for me. So Jameson Taillon himself didn't obviously really have any real opportunities to get out of damage. McKinstry has that triple in the bottom of the 5th, and there's the fielder's choice that makes it 3-1. Going down here to the bottom of the 8th, though. So you got 1st and 3rd with 1 out. Thielbar is in the game. He gets the pop out to Nico, so it's 1st and 3rd with 2 outs. I love this move from Craig Counsell. First of all, Daniel Palencia hasn't pitched. It feels like in a week, right? I can't even think of the last time he was on the mound, but sometimes I have a bad brain day. So Palencia comes in there in the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 outs. I like that strategy a lot from Craig Counsell. First of all, he's your closer for a reason. You got a righty up at the plate. I want to see him come in that situation. He can get 4 outs there if you need him to, and he does. He gets the first one there. He ends the inning, and the Cubs are still up 6-1. Then we get to the bottom of the 9th. So again, Daniel Palencia is this time going to get himself into some struggles here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And we haven't seen a lot of that so far. He's had a lot of pretty clean innings from him. So as weird as it sounds, I want to see closers, setup man, force themselves or be in bad situations. I want to see how they react. I want to see how how the manager reacts, what Craig Counsell does or does not do. I think it shows how much he trusts these guys. So then you come back into the bottom of the 9th inning. Spencer Torkelson hits a single, and then Palencia walks the guy. So it's 1st and 2nd with 1 out. Again, the Cubs are up 5. But how does Palencia react? Reese McGuire basically told to go out to the mound, it looks like, to get him to relax a little bit there. But McKinstry is up at the plate, and Daniel Palencia throws a 100-mile-per-hour just absolute gas down the middle for the strikeout in this to get the 2nd out. And then we have the big play from Reese McGuire to end the game there. So you've got Palencia, you've got Thielbar both getting into situations where you've got runners on base, and they need to find a way to get out of it, and they do that. That's actually, I would say, through this 2 games part of the series against the Tigers, between what we saw from them today, what we saw from Ben Brown in game 1 of this series versus the Detroit Tigers, is Ben Brown also put himself in a lot of positions to have an offense that's been very good this year for the Tigers, being able to bring guys home. He was able to battle out of it, Ben Brown was, and then we saw the same thing today. So that is the biggest positive, I would say, from the first 2 games of this series, is that the Cubs had chances to give up a lot of runs or a couple runs, and their pitching did a really good job being able to battle through. Tomorrow's game will be interesting to see what happens on Sunday, because we will see if Craig Counsell's promise of off days starts to come into play at some point. We haven't really yet. He's been talking about that really for the last 2 weeks, about this stretch of baseball, that we would see some guys who play every single day get off days. Obviously, we saw Tucker in as a DH today with Suzuki in right field. So I'm curious to see if on Sunday, when we're going to see a PCA day off. It feels like it's coming soon. So that's kind of something I would keep in mind for the next day and the next chunk of games leading up into the All-Star break, as the Cubs will try to win the final game of this series tomorrow. If you got any other questions, you can drop them in here quickly. We'll go for a couple other minutes here. So if you're live on YouTube, drop them here in the chat. My buddy Ryan reached out. He sent me a question on Instagram. One of my favorite people in the world. I think it was top 5 on American Idol from Marina City, a local Chicago band, reached out and was asking, because he listens to the show every day, was asking about Justin Turner and who was an option to replace Justin Turner if the Cubs are going to go down that path. Because I saw some comments again here live, and I know he didn't play today, but I know he's kind of everyone's top of mind of right now of what's happening with the Cubs and what's going on at first base. And honestly, the more I've thought about it over the last 24 hours or less than 24 hours since last night's game, I don't think we're going to see him move there. I think Justin Turner is going to continue to be just kind of there for him. I would like to see, as OK says, this is I don't hate this suggestion by Asteros for Turner, but the problem is he's not going to play every day. With the Cubs outfield situation, you're not going to see one of the young prospects come up. If the Cubs have an issue that they need to solve, it's not going to be anything from the minor league system. I don't know where Shota, because Chad mentions it here, where Shota is going to be pitching on Monday. But if you missed that from today, Shota Imanaga is going to throw, they said, 2 innings, 40 pitches is the plan on Monday. So that's positive. At least we can slowly start to get, hopefully, his return to the lineup or to the rotation. They've done a great job, honestly. They've done a great job so far of filling in for Shota and all these different things. But I'm just, I want to see Shota Imanaga back on the mound, because if you're going to be the World Series contender that right now you look like you can be, you need him to be there at this point. What do we get in here? A question about Jerry Reinsdorf selling the White Sox. This is a Cubs show. My only thought on this is, why was there not a Bulls announcement with that? Because please and thank you, get that done too. That's my only thoughts on the sell. But that will do it for this episode, the Locked on Cubs postcast here on the Locked on Cubs YouTube channel. You can find me on any social media platform at Joe George Radio. We will be back tomorrow for another reaction to the final game of the series between the Cubs and the Tigers. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow live here on YouTube.